Do you want to start the Rumble, young Brian? Rumble, young man, rumble.
I do. I watched the entire event with the exception of the Miz match. That was my bathroom break match.
How long did it take you to squeeze that one out? It lasted about 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah, I got lost on my way to the bathroom, and I ended up somewhere else.
Yeah, in the library. But the first match, and actually, to be quite honest, was this the best match? It had to be. Was Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
And they kicked it off, and thankfully, I've always said, I hate it when they put a world title match on first. In this case, these guys got in and got out before they got any of the rest of the show on either one of them. And also, by the time that Girls' Rumble was finished, Jesus Christ. I mean, there've been fucking people trapped in wells that just said, just go ahead and just cap it. Don't even bother to get me anymore after that thing. Anyway. It was for whichever one of the Universal title, one of the World Championships. But they've done good packages on this. We mentioned Rollins he seemed like he had more oomph to him in his promos about this. That he's Seth freaking Rollins now. Maybe they're letting him be a little bit more of him or whatever, that Monday Night Messiah thing. The Usos were barred because of the tag team match that we saw on the Raw the previous week. But I like Seth did the Shield entrance through the crowd to mock Roman Reigns, and it was actually more fun to watch him do that than it is to watch Moxley do it every fucking week.
Although his mouth appeared to be stuck in like a perpetual scream the whole time.
Yeah,
yeah, what is he doing? And if you noticed on commentary, McAfee referencing the Shield brought up Roman and Rollins and Mox. So now, in their history, I guess he's Mox.
Well, that's because they want to make sure that everybody knows that the guy on the other channel is the one that flunked out and isn't there having the main event for them. But again, it wasn't Moxley coming out of the parking lot every week to face a fucking job guy for no apparent reason and with his all mean boo-boo face on. It was Rollins doing what their group used to do against the guy that he used to be in the group with, mocking him. And plus, he didn't take as long. Moxley can't find that goddamn ring for shit. I miss Howard Finkel. That female ring announcer is a popcorn fart. She's trying to put all the razor blade gargling and the buffer in there and everything, but it just doesn't sound right. A female voice announcing a world championship fight of any kind. I'm sorry if that's sexist, but I wouldn't want to hear some fucking guy with a voice that sounded like Michigan J. Frog doing the goddamn, vocals in a Blondie song either. There's some things that,
Great example you pulled out there.
Heart of glass. Anyway.
I will say, I don't think there's any problem with a woman ring announcer doing the main event. However, you hit the nail on the head about how, I guess they're trained to talk with the gargling of the voice at certain points. It's so ridiculous, and it comes across like she's copying the other announcers that came before her as opposed to being anything real.
I like blue. Blue is one of my favorite colors, along with red. But this arena lighting is distracting as shit. And apparently not only the blue lighting was distracting to watch, but they had some kind of spotlights that they used intermittently throughout the show that was apparently blinding a significant section of ringside to the point where people in the building were chanting, "Turn the lights off." This was reported all over the place. You're getting into a TV studio now. If you pay $1,000 to go to the Royal Rumble Live, whether it's in Madison Square Garden or Tits McGee's Superdome in fucking Bossier City, Louisiana, whatever, you're paying to be part of a TV studio audience. It's not a big major arena show anymore. It's being shot at the mercy of television. This match was fucking probably, as I said, not only the best match on this show, but it's the best I've liked Rollins in a while. And Reigns is always good because he does his shit. And he does it well. But both these guys have the size, they've got the look, they've got the experience, they're professionals. Reigns' booking has been focused, and that's why he's the top full-time guy in the company. As we mentioned, Seth Rollins has been all over the place over the past few years, babyface, heel, this gimmick, that flunky, whatever, but he can still go in the ring. And I'm still surprised watching some of his shit as much as I was when he was Tyler Black. And I was going, how is that tall guy that big do this shit without killing himself? I don't know whether Heyman had a hand in this or not, but they had a lot of the big high-impact shit that he's a hallmark of because he's got the high-impact guys, but at least they did shit, but then they would let it breathe. They'd sell it afterwards. They'd both be incapacitated. Something would happen for the most part. Because at one point, Rollins power bombs Reigns through the announce desk, throws him back in, as he should, by the way. Have you noticed all the AEW guys blister a fucking guy on the floor and then leave him laying there? You can't beat him out there. He's going to get counted out. No, he's not, because your referees are all pussies. But in the WWE, if they fucking blister a guy, for the most part, they throw him back in the ring and try to beat him, which is the object. That's because they're trained at a more high level. And that's one of the things drummed into their heads. Sometimes guys don't do it anyway. But Rollins power bombs him through the announce desk, which looked great because he didn't clear it off first, and then threw him in and hit a splash off the top. It looked like it fucking killed him, and got a nice pop on a 2 count. And Reigns there for a while, he was selling because of the weird situation they find themselves in where they have to match up babyface and heels. Guys that are really good can subliminally and subtly turn emotions of a crowd to get the effect that they want. And we know what's good. Roman Reigns is going to finish this thing doing some heinous heel shit, right? But while he's trying to get Seth Rollins over as being on his level to make this match competitive, his selling, which you don't see him do a lot of to begin with, body language-wise, was kind of babyface-ish. Did you notice that, especially when he'd take one of those forearm shots or whatever, the weak knees and and it wasn't like a heel overbumping or overselling because he's getting his comeuppance. He was subtly, okay, I'm going to let Seth be the heel here and be a prick, and I'm going to sell for him and establish him, because later on I know I'm going to fucking sodomize him with a rusty fishing knife. But it's just little shit like that these guys can do that. You know, Danielson does it over on the other side. Punk does it on the other side. There's a few people. Jericho might know how to do it, but has not the cardio or the pulmonary capacity to do it anymore. But you can do that, and the people don't even know sometimes it's happening, but just subtly, if you see a guy that you don't necessarily like, but he's kicking a shit out of another guy you don't necessarily like, and that guy's really selling, you kind of feel sorry for the guy on the bottom, right? You kind of feel sorry if the guy's getting the shit kicked out of him if he's selling it right. If he's not selling like, oh my God, like a heel, like, oh shit, oh, I'm so hurt, but like, oh, it really hurts. It's just a little added more realism. You kind of get subtle sympathy. You see what I'm saying there, Mr. Last?
I do, yes.
So anyway, and Seth, the curb stomp. I don't know how he does that and doesn't, well, I don't want to say anything, but knock on wood, how he doesn't blow his knee on the leg he lands on. It's a lot of coordination. Anyway, all of Seth's stuff looked good. They didn't use any furniture or any gaga, and they weren't rushing. I made a note of that here part of the way through the match. When Reigns would take over, Rollins would counter with something, but Reigns then shit-canned him into the post and the floor and rattled him around ringside. Now, Reigns started, you could take it as that's heel shit, or you could take it as him making a little bit of a babyface comeback if you had sympathy for him. But he probably was a little stiff with that because did you notice he had a shiner popping up on his left eye about halfway through the match? I didn't see how he caught it, but
I thought it added to the whole feeling of the match too.
Well, yeah, because you're seeing marks pop up on these guys. And he got a big pop on the Superman punch. That's where I noted with the WWE audience, they pop on the big moves or the false finishes maybe, and then they just sit right back down. Reigns hit a spear on the floor, threw him in, went for another one, and Rollins countered with the pedigree. That was a big pop. And you didn't expect to see that coming. That was a nice little inventive deal. Boom, boom, boom. They had twists and turns. They had momentum changes. They had good timing. Even when Rollins was selling shit, he would keep laughing at Reigns, and they were playing the mind games, and they would remark on that. And then, I'm really liking the match. And then finally, Reigns is fucking boom. I've had all I can stands. I can't stands no more. Bing, 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 and gets him in a front face lock. And Rollins is fighting for the rope and finally he gets the rope. And Roman Reigns won't break the front face lock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ding, ding, ding. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm not even saying that they had to beat anybody. I'm not opposed to disqualifications. They're very beneficial in the wrestling business. I'm just opposed to finishes that are flatter than a plate full of piss. And he kept it on for a minute and then chased the referee out of the ring. He let go and chased the referee out. Reigns did. And this is what I'm writing. Is this it? They're not playing the music. Neither one's leaving the ring. I'm thinking certainly there's going to be a restart on this. And the people were all kind of sitting around like, And then the reason I see that they don't play the music is because there's an angle coming up. Reigns gets out of the ring, gets a chair, gets back in, and I write, they're not going to restart this. And Reigns proceeds to hit Seth Rollins with the chair 11 times over and over, and then leaves the ring, thinks better of it, comes back in, and just wails on him with 9 more. 20 chair shots like Paul fucking Samoan Bunyan. Okay, yes, he's a heinous heel. I'm not sure what all that did for Rollins. That was the finish that was called. That's why Reigns was trying to work even harder in the match to not make Rollins look completely like a fucking idiot. But why do you need to hit anybody in any angle 20 times with a fucking chair? Is it any wonder everybody's having spinal stenosis and multiple surgeries and shorter careers? And it wasn't a gimmick chair. He wore the chair out on Rollins and he bashed he was being safe and well, I won't say he was being careful. I will say he was being safe in terms of not committing heinous permanent injury, but at the same time, he was wearing that chair out and Rollins too, and he beat the mat enough to bust the back out, which was even more dangerous because then there's sharp edges. But that would they couldn't have built to a more spectacular disqualification than that, to where that and then go right into that maybe even incorporate that in the disqualification. Reigns flips his shit and grabs a chair maybe away from Rollins and then starts wearing him out and gets disqualified for that. Did you just hear was it a giant fart from the hot dogs at the arena, or was it the air coming out of the crowd when front face lock, immobile, won't break, DQ, ding, ding, ding?
I wouldn't say it's when the air came out of the crowd. I think that's when they lit the WrestleMania sign on fire later in the show. Quite literally. That's when the air came out of it. I mean, I thought it was a really good match. Like you said, it was the best Seth Rollins match I've seen in quite some time. It was kind of refreshing to see him in the Shield gear. He looks bigger than he actually is. But it was really good intensity. The finish, yeah, I mean, it was a bit much, but everything we see nowadays is a bit much. What isn't a bit much?
Whew. I mean, they could have thrown the car keys at him to a fucking Honda Accord out in the parking lot. He could have started that up, driven it down the entranceway, run over Rollins, and then backed up over him a couple times just to make sure. But, I mean,
But if he had done that, he may need to look for some parts for that car that he potentially ruined by running over that body.
That's exactly correct. And I'll tell you what, if, as a matter of fact, if either Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins was to call me up and ask me where to get quality auto parts, I would tell them both the same thing. Even though I don't know Roman Reigns, but Seth Rollins is an old friend of mine, I would tell them both the same thing. I'd lead them both in the right direction. And Brian, you know what that direction is. That direction leads right to our friends at Rock Auto. The folks at rockauto.com can find a part for your car no matter what kind of car you've got. Because you can imagine if you go into these brick and mortar stores, right? They might have a part for a Ford. They might have a part for a Chevy. But with all these makes, the Fiats and the Kias and the models, the Pacificas and the XT5s and all these various types of things, it's impossible for these stores to stock all the parts you need in a traditional way. So why would you go there and then have something you don't want forced on you and it might not fit? You can't put a square peg in a round hole, folks. You can't put a long dick in a short. So while you stand there and you wait for the counterman to try to force you into buying overpriced parts that you don't need, you could be on your computer right now at rockauto.com because they will save you money. Money that you can use for other important things like the mortgage or food or child support or ransom or the ability to skip the country. That costs money these days. The COVID restrictions alone, if you're trying to leave the country under an assumed name, it costs a fortune. You need to go to rockauto.com and save some money so you can spend it on things like that. Why would you choose to spend 30%, 50%, 100% or more for the exact same auto part at a chain store or new car dealership than you would at Rock Auto? Why? You wouldn't. You would never choose to do that. Sometimes these big box stores and car dealerships, they send people to your home and force you to buy their parts. RockAuto.com does not do that. They merely put you on a special list if you don't buy their parts and you try to get service anywhere else.
There is no list. They don't put you on any list. Don't say that.
No, they list of preferred customers so that they can send you other offers of ways to save you money.
Only if you opt into that. They don't just take your name and put you on any list.
No. But they'll keep track of you. And if you move, they'll find you one way or another.
If you forward your mail.
Deals.
If you forward your mail.
Well, yes, and there's ways that they can locate you, but they want to know where you are. So if they can help you in any way, they won't have to look far. They can be right there for you like a beneficial big brother, looking over your shoulder, watching everything you see and do. Anyway, rockauto.com is a family business. They've been serving auto parts customers online for 20 years. And if you go to rockauto.com, to shop for auto and body parts from hundreds of manufacturers, you'll find that they have everything from engine control modules and brake parts to tail lamps, motor oil, and blinker fluid. Whether it's for your classic driver, your daily driver, or in some cases, an illegal driver. If you haven't got a license and you get behind the wheel, you don't want to break down because if the cops find you, then they will fucking throw the book at you. So if you don't have a driver's license and potentially you've got outstanding warrants, you want to go to rockauto.com and keep your car in tip-top condition. Don't be one of these murderers with 16 people buried in the crawl space in your basement that gets pulled over for a fucking taillight infraction and then gets sent to the goddamn electric chair. You want to go to rockauto.com or you want to go to Old Sparky? That's what I'm asking. And best of all, folks, the prices at rockauto.com are always reliably low and the same for professionals and do-it-yourselfers and convicted felons. Go to rockauto.com right now.
Yeah.
Well, they're not going to charge you more if you've had a conviction. rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck that you'll ever need. And there'll be a box somewhere around rockauto.com that says, how did you hear about us? You just put JCE in that box and they'll know that's how you heard about them. They won't give you any extra deal because the prices are so low. The next step is paying you to take this shit. But just write JCE in anyway because they like to keep track of us too. We've got a quota to meet. And
now we're on a list.
Yeah, we're on a list, and I want to make sure that they let Swami go at 5:30 today.
Oh, my God, where's Swami?
He's going to be let go at 5:30 today if rockauto.com gets a lot of JCEs written in their box. So
help me, people, please.
Yeah.
Please, I just want my Swami back.
Well, just remember that small bills, non-sequential serial numbers in an unmarked brown paper bag, or you actually use a McDonald's bag.
What about Crypto? Did they take Crypto?
No, Crypto, the super dog, no, they didn't take him. They took Swami. That's your dog.